Okay, welcome back everyone. Today's the day of the exam. So after our 2 p.m. lecture, we're going to take a small break and take the exam. Should take about 90 minutes. And remember, it's a 10-question exam. You have to get 8 out of 10 to pass. It's going to be all on algorithms. So the best way to prepare for this test is to do the Algo app and the practice assignments. So I'm going to be going over a couple more for loop or function rules here in this morning's lecture. And add one more thing as well. So tomorrow we get a second attempt at the exam, and then we get a third attempt at the end of the day if you didn't pass the second attempt. So we get 3 attempts in total. We want to pass it on the first attempt, obviously. So we're going to do our best to get everyone up to speed. So this morning we're going to be going over some more loop rules, some for loop rules. So let's go ahead and get into that now. Okay. So what we're going to be learning on this page is about the break and what the break is good for. Actually, is it? Yeah, it's here. Okay, so I'll just read it for you guys and then I'll explain it. Sometimes we run into situations where we may want to end our loop before we would normally end. When this happens, we can use the keyboard. Okay, consider the code below. So here we have a for loop. We have a variable called length, and the for loop starts at 0. And we say, while I is less than length, which is that big 999 number, increase I. And console log hello. And when you're finished with this, then console log goodbye. Okay. But from what we've learned about loops previously, we can see that the following code will run a large number of times because the variable length is so large. This might be something that would be undesirable for our program. So what if we had a for loop and we wrote an if statement that said if I is greater than 10, break. So we only wanted to console log, we wanted to console log hello from numbers 0 to 9. So if at any point in this for loop, this qualifies if I becomes greater than 10, then we break. And what a break does is it exits the area. It exits the for loop. It's like a return. Remember how a return, when we said we reached the return, we finished the function? It's essentially the same thing. The only difference is that a return will give a value to the function. A break just exits. It's just a clean exit. Doesn't give a value to the function. This time the loop will only run 10 times because I becomes greater than 10. The loop will encounter the keyword break and end right then. While we may not need breaks frequently in our code, it can be a useful tool in our toolkits. It's good to understand what this does, what this means. Okay, so let's T-diagram this really quick so that we know that we understand. Here's our T. We have our variable and our value. Okay, we have length. And the length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 nines. Right? And then we enter our for loop. I equals 0. I starts at 0. All right, so step 1. Then step 2. We go to step 2. Is I less than length? Yes, because length is a large number and I is at 0. So then we enter in here. We enter the for loop. The first thing we do is encounter this if statement. If I is greater than 10, I is at 0, it's not greater than 10, so we don't enter this if statement. And we just console log hello. So let's create a console. Let's create it here. And then we'll type in the word hello. Okay. Then we say, we console logged hello. That's the last thing we need to do in this for loop. So we increase I. Then we check again. If I is greater than 10, I is not greater than 10, so we don't enter this. We just console log hello. Okay, so then we increase I again. And we do this until we get to until we get to 11. So I is going to increase to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. Actually, well, it will stop at 10. And we will have several hellos here. Hello, hello. I didn't make our console log big enough.
Question, would it stop at 10 or 11?
So if I is 10, is 10 greater than 10?
No.
So then it would not enter. So then I would get to, I'm running out of spaces to write hello here. So then I would increase to 11. And once I is greater than 10, which is when it hits 11, I should have fit one more hello in here. When I increases to 11, it finally qualifies for this if statement. So it enters and it breaks. Soon as we break, we exit, this for loop, and we finally console log goodbye.
So should there be 10 hellos there and one goodbye?
Yes.
It's not going to get to 11, right? Because the length of the var length is 9.
Well, this I would increase to 11, and as soon as it reaches 11, it will qualify for this if statement. This if statement will break out of this for loop, and it will then console log goodbye.
I think she's saying because we're used to like the index of an array, so we're used to like array dot length. So I think she's looking at this large number being the length of it being 9. But I think right with this length is different. This is the length of the entire number from 0 to whatever that is. I don't even know.
The entire number. What do you mean?
Length here represents this variable length here, right? It's that large number 99999.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, sorry.
Yep. No worries. Yeah, it's a bit confusing, but we'll explain how to iterate now through an array. So before we do that, let's get a quick poll and get to the main part of our lecture. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. And on to the next slide. So let's try, I know this one says Algo app level 7. Let's try and clear through the whole entire Algo app today before we get to our test. If we can get through level 12, we're going to do really well on our test. And Kai and I will be jumping around rooms to make sure we get there. Okay. Now, Joan, I think this is more along the lines of what you were asking about dot length.
No, I think I understand. It's just I think in the previous example, you're like the length is 9, so I kind of went on with.
Okay. Okay. Well, then let's get on with this slide here. I understand. Recognize different characteristics of arrays. This is the point, and like length and values at various indexes. That's the point of what we're doing here. Okay. So we have seen that elements of an array may be referenced by their indexes. Okay, that index being I is the index. We have also seen that we can determine how many elements are in an array by accessing the built-in length property. Okay, so let's go do a little bit of review on this. So if I write an array here, this thing isn't writing. Let's see, R. Let me try it again. R var R equals 0, 1, 2, 3. If I say R dot length, what is the value of this R dot length?
4.
Right. And why is that?
It's the amount of numbers or values you have in the array.
Okay. So when we count the values in our array, according to this dot length property, we are counting from 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what if I say var R2 equals 1, 2, 3, 4. At what index is this number here?
3.
3. If we say R2 at index 3,
Array 2.
at index 3, that's because when we're counting index, we're counting from 0. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So there's a subtle difference there, but you guys need to know this. Okay, when we're counting R dot length, this here, we're counting from 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we're counting indexes in an array, we're counting from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3. So 4 is at index 3, 3 is at index 2, and it doesn't matter what values you have at these indexes. These can be 7, 9, 2, 3. 7 is at index 0 because it's the first. 9 is at 1, 2 is at 3, and 3 is at 3. Okay, let's do a little bit more testing here. So if I say var r equals 7, 9, 2, 8. And if I say r dot length minus 1, where am I pointing to now? Right. We are pointing to the length, which is what number? What's the length of this?
4.
4. Minus 1 is 3. So if we count the indexes, 0, 1, 2, 3, this is at index 4 minus 1, right? Because it's at 3. So the official way to write this would be r at r dot length minus 1. At this index here, r at r dot length minus 1, I'm pointing to this 8. So then if I say r at r dot length minus 2, what am I now pointing to?
The 2.
Yes.
2.
Now I'm pointing to this 2 here. Okay, I'm glad you guys are getting it. Let's do a couple more just so we fully understand. Var r equals 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And if I say, give me the index of r dot length minus 3.
Seven.
Right, what's the length of this array?
5.
5. 5 minus 3 is what?
2.
3 is 2. So if we say r at index 2, if we count 0, 1, 2, this is our index for r at r dot length minus 3. We have to remember length, that length property counts from 1, but our indexes count from 0. So let's give a poll check on this. Okay. Okay, so now let's make a for loop using this now. Here we have var r, and it's this array of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. then we start at 0. Okay, so that's the very beginning, first index, where 2 is. And we say, while I is less than r dot length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. While it's less than 5, increase I by 1. Okay, so then we check, is I less than r dot length? 0 is less than 5 because r dot length is 5. So we console log I, and we console log r at I. So we would console log I, which starts at 0, and r at I, which is 2. Then we increase I by 1. Then I would be 1. So we console log 1, and then we console log this array at 1, which is 4. And that way, we get to the end of the length. We console log all the I values that we increase to 5. And then we also console log every single thing in this array.
Why don't you console log the array each time?
Because if we console log the array each time, we will be console logging every single value in the array. The array is this whole collection of numbers. Does that make sense?
Well, so what is it that indicates that you only do the console log I each time? Is it just because there's a semicolon after the I?
Are you talking about this here, this semicolon, the first one?
No, after the console.log I.
Yes, this one here. So you're asking what's the purpose of this semicolon?
No, I think he's asking, and Zach, correct me if I'm wrong. I think console log returns what, one value, or does it return all 5 values?
Console log will return the specific value that you put inside the parentheses. So how about this? Let's
How
T
many times,
diagram.
like once? Yeah, I think that would help.
Yeah, let's T diagram.
Is that along what you were asking? I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering why it runs the for loop all the way through without doing that second console log.
Okay, let's T diagram this so we understand. Okay, so I've copied it into my text editor here. And I will draw a diagram.
Wait, it's console logging I every time. It's just that I's value changes in the loop. That's how we're getting each number, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So let's go through this loop and let's mark up here the different steps that we take when we go through this loop. Okay, so let me just indent a little bit more here so I have some space to write. So we have step 1. Step 2. Step 3, which is the inside, the do something section. And then step 4.
So with a for loop like that, you never would move on to line 46 until you're done with step 4?
Well, we don't move on to line 46 until we're done with step 3. So let's go through this slowly, and then we'll
It's
break it
console
down.
logging both of them, right? It's going to console log the value of I, and then it's also going to console log what's inside of the index of I inside the array.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
But not
So
at the same.
I think that's what he's confused about. I'm thinking he's thinking like it's only going to console log line 43, the first console log, and then not console log the second one.
No, it's going to do both. Anytime you're in the do something section, you're going to do everything that's in there that's possible to do. So
Okay.
let's
that clear.
okay. In case we have any other confusions through anybody else, let's just do this the long way. We have, oh, I forgot to write R. So R is our first variable. And the value is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Then we have I. I starts at 0. Okay, that's all we need to do for now. So let's go ahead and go through this. We have our R. We start the for loop. We go to step 1. We log it in our T diagram. I is at 0. Then we check here. Is I less than r dot length? How about we put that in our T diagram? What's r dot length? R dot length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. R dot length is 5. Is I less than 5? 0 is less than 5 right now. So we enter in our step 3. Then we console log I. Okay, so I is 0 and R at I. So let's also make a place for that in our T diagram. Okay, if I is 0, R at I is 2, right? So R at position I, remember we count from 0 left to right, and I'll mark that up here. This is 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so R at I is, that value is 2. So then we also console log 2. Then we increase I. I equals I plus 1. So then we increase I here. Now I is 1. Once we've reached step 4, the new cycle is going to be steps 1, 2, 3. So then we check here first. We do this second, and we increase this third. Okay. Once we reach step 4, the first time, then we do this 1, 2, 3 step. All right. Step 1 is I less than r dot length. I is 1. It's still less than 5. So we enter step 2. Console log I. Okay. I is 1. So we'll go ahead and console log I. 1. Console log R at I. Okay. R at I, we check here, is 4. Console log 4. Then we increase I. I goes to 2. All right, so then we go back to step 1. Is 2 is I less than r dot length. 2 is less than 5. So then we enter in here. We console log I. Okay, I is 2. and then we console log r at I. R at I is 6. So we console log 6. Once we finished everything in the do something section, we increase I again. I becomes 3. And we do step 1. Is 3 less than 5? Yes. So we enter again the do something section. We console log I. I is 3. So we'll do that. I'm running out of space in my console here. And then we console log R at I. I is 3. So R at I is 8. And we increase I to 4. And we say, is I less than R dot length? Is 4 less than 5? Yes. So then we enter again, console log I. I is 4. So we'll go ahead and enter 4. And then we'll go ahead and console log R at I. That is going to be 10. So we'll do the last value here, 10. You see I'm running out of space. And then we increase I again, 5. Is 5 less than R dot length? 5 is not less than 5. 5 is equal to 5. So we finished our for loop. And our console should have this order: 0, 2, 1, 4, 2, 6, 3, 8, 4, 10. Okay, let's do another poll here. Okay, so let's take a quiz here, see how well we understand this. What index is the value 2 positioned in the array? In our array, the value, that's what the numbers that we see in the array, what value is 2 positioned at? Okay. It's at 0. What is the length of the array? Five. I saw some hands. And what is the value of the I variable after the final iteration of the loop? After we finish iterating through this loop, what is the final value of I? Remember, we just did this loop. As soon as we increase I to 5, and this loop is 5, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 5 numbers. If 5 is the number where it no longer qualifies and we exit the loop, because 5 is not less than 5. 5 is not less than 5. 5 is equal to 5. So this is the result. Okay, and that's it for today's lecture. It's not much to add on from what you guys have already learned. And for your lessons today, I said get through level 7 of the Algo app, but I really want you guys to get through level 12, right? That's what we want to get to before this 2 p.m. lecture, so that we can ask some questions by the time we get to the 2 p.m. lecture, so we can do some prep before the first attempt of the exam. Okay, in order to attempt the exam, you'll need to have completed all the yellow rows of the required assignments here. Okay, you have to get through level 12 of the Algo app and have completed Predict 2 and get on that ride, as well as the Create Variables challenge. Okay, so today is going to be, the goal is to get through level 12. Kaya and I will be here to help you understand these algos. Okay, do we have any questions about what we're learning?
Yeah, just real quick for the Algo app, what are they called? Challenges, I think. What's the deal with those? Do we turn those in somewhere?
Well, when you finish them, there's a check at the bottom of the page that's asking you. So you just have to check that, and that's going to be level 7. That's telling us you've completed level 7.
I mean for the Algo app challenges.
Okay, I'm not understanding. What about it?
So
There's a place to upload them. I think if you go to the assignments section, at the very top, I just usually go to all of the assignments checklist. Sorry, and then you go
It
to the
looks different on mine here.
It should be, it's in the introduction to programming, under belt prep. It's under Algo app 12, level 12, says challenges there.
Yeah, so it's actually listed. Yeah, it's listed all the way on the bottom, I think. Algo app challenge is right there. The next one.
Yeah, you can upload a zip here. Don't worry about uploading the zip as much as I want you to focus on completing and understanding. Before we take the test, I will look at your Algo app to see your completion level. And we'll make sure that you're there before we handle the, submitting your assignment. Don't spend time working on that if you have to spend more time catching up.
Will the belt exam have these challenges on it though? Like this is different than the lessons.
No, the belt exam is going to be very similar to the Algo app questions.
But even the challenges part, because the challenges part is actually implementing some code. The lessons part is just what we've kind of been going over.
There's going to be 3 questions on the test where you have to build some code from scratch.
Okay.
The rest is just predicting the output. Okay. So 7 of the questions is predicting the output. And you remember, you have to get 8 out of 10. So you have to build 1 code from scratch. All right. So you need to know for loops, if statements, and how to iterate through an array, just like we did today. All right. And I'll make sure you guys are on that level of understanding that we need to pass. And if not, we'll figure out how to get there. So this is a test for me as well as you guys, so that I can, challenge myself to get you guys to that level of understanding. All right. Any other questions? Okay. We'll go ahead and create these breakout groups, and we'll be jumping around rooms to make sure we're understanding.